Hi guys, what's up? Recently, I reread the Junji Ito story after 5 or so years from the first time I read it. This is Junji Ito's story, Army of One or Billions Alone. This story is extremely disgusting in a beautiful way. Extremely. Now, I'm not an expert on story analysis, so this whole entire video will just be me rambling about how appreciative I am of Junji Ito's work and how well it manages to make me feel paranoia throughout the whole entire manga. Through every page turn, ever since a specific event happens, it does a very good job at capturing that feeling of paranoia. And I'm so glad I reread the story after 5 or so years. So it could somewhat be like new to me after reading something after so much time has passed. And anyways, guys, the gameplay in the background is gonna be Stalker Anomaly. Check it out. It has a good learning curve, really good learning curve that I suck at. The opening of the story starts with a man walking his dog down a trail, and he notices his dog is sniffing something. Out of curiosity, the man goes checks it out, and what he sees is something disturbing. And when I first saw this image, I was amazed, just amazed by how disturbing it is. It's two bodies sewn together, and they're barely clothed. And anyways, our main character Michio notices these events unravel throughout the news later that day. Our main character Michio is a recluse. He's nearly 20 and he's still living in his mom's basement. And he even yells at his mom like the incel he is. He tells his mom to leave him alone as she gives him a note for a class reunion that's coming up already. As he's reading through this note, he starts thinking about a girl that used to stand up for him during elementary school, in high school, Natsuko. He starts crushing about her and wondering where she's been, when all of a sudden on the radio a weird song plays, repeating the words, billions alone, let's all hold hands. When I first read this manga, I was trying to figure out how the song would sound like. And the first thing that came to mind was a Beatles song, Come Together. And that is how I imagined how the song sounds that is playing in this manga. While that silly Beatles song is playing, the doorbell rings in Michio's house, and it's Natsuko. Michio can't believe it's Natsuko, the girl he was just thinking about as he was reading the note. It's a bit suspicious at first when I read this manga. Anyways, Natsuko tries her best to catch up with Michio, asking where have you been? It's been a while since I've seen you. Why have you stopped coming to school? And Michio makes his best excuse to avoid answering this question. After Natsuko conversates with the socially awkward Michio, she then attempts to ask him to come along to a meeting with the high school reunion committee. And hesitantly enough, Michio goes, finally leaving his house after so many years. The funny thing about Michio's reunion with this committee is that he knows most of the people there. And the funnier thing is, before leaving to go with Natsuko, he doesn't even change. He goes with his hair all unkempt in the same clothes he's been wearing in his house. During this reunion with the high school reunion committee, he sees two familiar faces alongside Natsuko. The first familiar face he sees is Keisuke, a friend from school that he used to know, and the other face, to Michio's dismay, is Natsuko's fiance. And with this news he receives that Natsuko has a fiance, he storms out of the meeting with Keisuke following him. As Michio's making his way back home, he notices a crowd of people overlooking a canal. And what's inside this canal is disturbing. It's a pile of bodies, barely clothed, sewn together in such morbid ways. I really appreciate how Junji Ito made these bodies sewn together in really disturbing ways. In the art, we can see somebody's eye sewn to somebody's leg, somebody's arm sewn to somebody's mouth, their lips sticking out to be sewn together to somebody else's arm. All of a sudden, a plane comes flying overhead, dropping flyers of papers, all with the words written on them, come together, everyone, come together, like the song that was playing on the radio. Michio goes home to talk to his online friend, or well, they message about what's been going on, about the weird song on the radio, and about the victims sewn together. Just then, Michio gets a call from Natsuko. Natsuko wants to ask Michio something. It's about Kaisuke. Kaisuke has gone missing ever since he went on a group date. Kaisuke was found alongside a group of bodies sewn together in a forest. Michio then decides to message his online friend again, and they come to the conclusion that whenever a large group of people meet, the incident happens. The incident where bodies are sewn together. And then Michio becomes a big time simp, with Natsuko saying, I want you to come too, Michio. And then Michio says, oh, I guess that makes sense. I'll think about it. And then that weird song plays on the radio, repeating billions alone, being by yourselves boring. The news reports that on Christmas Eve people were gone missing, and now they have reappeared on Christmas Day in a really grotesque way. Sewn together bodies lined up on Christmas trees like twisted Christmas decorations from hell, and bodies sewn together in a pile of circles, in the shape of circles. It's really demented stuff, and this panel really captures the horror of it all. The next panel we have are local government officials discussing about what could be the Billions Alone Club. Could it be aliens? Could it be a power that surpasses human knowledge? But all they know for a matter of fact is that they need to proceed with everything with caution. And now the high school reunion ceremony takes place, and Michio decides to attend, but from afar. He puts on a trench coat and he tries to be like a little, like he tries to put on a disguise. And just then, as he's acting suspicious and watching from afar, two policemen come up to him and grab him and saying, "Who are you? Why are you suspicious? What are you doing here?" And just then, Natsuko comes to Michio's rescue, saying that, "Oh, he's my classmate. He's always been a little shy. He's always been a little recluse, whatever." As Natsuko and Michio make their way to join up with the ceremony, Natsuko says that she's late. And as they enter the ceremony building, they notice everybody's gone. All the seats are empty. Michio starts freaking out a little bit. Natsuko starts freaking out a little more. And all of a sudden, she comes to a realization, a group disappearance. This has to be connected to the sewn together bodies. And as she realizes this, she calls out fiance's name, and it's not until a few days later all the bodies are found in a forest. This panel resembles a cobweb from hell. It is disgusting and I love it. I love all the details about this manga. After the high school reunion ceremony incident, people started avoiding other people. They would avoid seeing each other in person. And that's pretty terrifying because even if you come in contact with another person, you have the possibility of getting sewn up with that person, and that is terrifying. But perhaps you can say that this is familiar for Michio, as before any of the events before this manga, he was already living a lifestyle like this, staying holed up in his room, not talking to anybody, just avoiding everybody, so this is normal for him. So what problem should he have? But just then, Michio gets a call from Natsuko. Natsuko is extremely lonely, especially after her fiance died, and she said that it would make her happy if Michio came and saw her. And Michio has his second simp moment in this whole entire manga, dude. Michio then goes to his mother, telling her that he's going out for a bit, and all she says is, "Oh well, be careful," with the door closed between them. And just then, Michio goes out and he makes his way towards Natsuko's house. And he has this little inner dialogue saying that he just wants to see Natsuko one time. It'll make him happy. He says he wouldn't even mind if he became sewn up together with her, which is a little weird, come on. Just then, a moment of hope flew over Michio. He sees the Billions Alone Club plane dropping flyers above him, but this time the military fighter jets are following that plane, and Michio's is happy. He's happy that the military is finally taking action. He says he has nothing to worry about. There's no way the government would just stand by and watch, right? With all the hope in his heart, Michio rushes towards Natsuko's home, saying, "Natsuko, I'm here, Natsuko." But he knows something isn't right. He hears somebody singing that song from the radio. Everyone come together, being by yourself is boring. And to Michio's surprise, he sees Natsuko singing the song all while sewing up her parents together. Michio says Natsuko one last time as the military fighter jets fly over him, but this time the military fighter jets are the ones that are leaving the flyers behind from the Billions Alone Club. And that is how our story ends, with my expectations subverted. And I 100% mean that in a good way, because horror stories do that sometimes in a really bad way. but I managed to find the way that this story did it in a really good way that caught me and swept me by my feet and really drove me for a loop. Everyone has their own interpretation of what caused this mass hysteria to cause people sew each other up. Honestly, I think it's something simple, just like the music on the radio is brainwashing people to stitch themselves together. Now, this could be a cringe take completely, and I understand that, but I read this like shortly before the pandemic happened, and after the pandemic happened, this story came to my mind, and I read it again, and it was similar to how people were holding themselves in their houses, right? And so I think it's still relevant in a way like that. Anyways, if you stayed to the end, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I do have some shitty equipment, so thank you for bearing with me. Anyway, guys, thank you and goodbye.